Hey there, everyone. That sexy nerd is back again, and we're watching Brandon Tenold's Godzilla, man. Godzilla 2000, actually. And I'll be honest, this is actually a very nostalgic movie for me, and that's the reason why I'm doing him again. I couldn't help it. It came out around the same time that movie had come out, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is Godzilla, blah 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 blah." That's so disgusting. They were like, "Oh, this is terrible," and then this movie comes out. And I'm like, go see this movie. And they're like, oh, I'm sick of Godzilla. That was terrible. And that's why all my friends never wanted to see this movie. And then when I had to go see this movie with my family, and not that it was a bad thing, because my family's still fans of Godzilla no matter what. It's just not, it's never going to die with us. But yeah, we went to go see this movie, and it was so much fun. Even though my father was like, my mother was like, yeah, this movie sucked, and I'm like, no, it didn't at all. Are you kidding me? It was way better than the other one. And they were like, all right, yeah, fine, it was better than the other one. But yeah, I always thought that this was the one that should have gotten the attention than the 1998 one, but it didn't have the same marketing. If only they had the same marketing, maybe it probably, or a similar marketing, maybe it would have done better. But it was a Japanese monster movie. I guess they're not going to put everything that they have, just like this one. I mean, look at -1. Honestly, this is actually a very similar circumstance, which is it's all the better for it. The only other movie that kind of relates to this is Godzilla 2016, but I never even saw that in the theater, so I don't have the same kind of memories with it. So it kind of, I think that's another reason why I loved -1. So consider this kind of a sequel to my first review ever, and go check it out up here. So anyway, let's just get into the episode. And remember, please smash that like button if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content, and subscribe if you think I deserve it. And let's do this thing, y'all.
Alright, look, I could do some Christmas themed horror movie to cap off the year, but I think I know what you really want. You want me to talk about another Godzilla movie.
Of course!
Even though I technically already did a Godzilla video this year. Kinda. Sorta. I mean, it was called Godzilla, technically. But now
it's honestly never been more perfect, because this literally comes back after your Godzilla 1998 review, and it basically is like that with us. This is the first I remember, again, this was so cool because it's the first Godzilla movie of the Godzilla of the year 2000. So, Godzilla's my life, man.
Time to go back to the real thing. We got a new Godzilla movie in theaters and another one coming out next year.
Yes, we do.
This seems like the perfect time to do it. Not that I have any other reasons for making this video.
What other reasons? Oh, yeah. I forgot. He's... Isn't he dead?
Good. No window ninja threatening to cut my balls off.
But he's...
Now I just gotta worry about this video getting blocked.
Hasn't he been dead for a while now? It was such a trip just hearing that theme in the theater, I was hoping it was going to be in the Godzilla 1998 movie, and that's another disappointment that was there. Ugh.
Okay, so to get everybody caught up, Toho had ended the Heisei series of Godzilla films with Godzilla vs. Destroya by killing Godzilla off, something that actually made the Western news at the time, even though the movie wouldn't get released there for several years. Godzilla vs. Destroya by killing Godzilla off. Something that actually made the Western news at the time, even though the movie wouldn't get released there for several years. The initial plan was for Toho to take a nearly decade-long break from Godzilla, saving his return for Godzilla's 50th anniversary in 2004. After all, Godzilla had gone Hollywood and had a big-budget American blockbuster coming out. That's sure to be a big hit and lead to at least a trilogy. You don't want to compete with that. Then the Roland Emmerich Godzilla actually came out, and Toho went, okay, we'll start making Godzilla movies again. Released in 1999, Godzilla 2000 was the start of what's commonly referred to as the Millennium Godzilla series, and was one of several movies released around Y2K to have 2000 in the title.
Wow.
The great thing about putting 2000 in your title is that it still sounds futuristic, even if it's the current year. Or way in the past in this case. Also, Godzilla 2000 became the first Japanese-produced Godzilla movie to get a theatrical release in North America since Godzilla 1985. Woo! I guess they only do that when there's a year in the title. As a result, this was my first experience seeing a Japanese Godzilla film in the theater. I can remember seeing trailers for this on TV and getting hyped for it.
If you can't take the heat...
I remember this!
Now, unlike Godzilla 1985, this one didn't have any new scenes specifically shot for the American release, but it also wasn't a straight-up dub either. The movie was re-edited slightly, with the American version coming in about 8 minutes shorter than the original Japanese one, and the translation also took a few liberties without changing the story and dialogue too much. Regardless of how the 1998 Godzilla was received, I don't know why Toho thought they had to wait to make their own Godzilla movies again. Recent years have shown us that both Japanese and American Godzilla movies can exist at the same time.
Yes, they can.
Actually, with all the crossovers and multiverse shit happening now, I wonder if those will ever cross over at some point.
Oh, God.
I wouldn't put it past them. TriStar Pictures presents, we're sorry about that other movie we put out called Godzilla, so here's some of the real deal to make up for it. So,
okay, I just had an idea. They actually have Godzilla come in and save the DCU. Like, have Henry Cavill come and punch Godzilla, and he's like, oh, and Godzilla's basically like...
We open with some members of the Godzilla Prediction Network setting up some equipment. Look, guys, you live in Japan. I don't think you need all that stuff to know Godzilla's gonna show up. It's like predicting the sun's gonna rise in the morning.
Basically.
Do you read me?
Roger, loud and clear.
Oh, and there's also a little kid there. Of course. Why wouldn't they have a kid doing such an important job?
It's a kitty.
Changes in the plasma
Girl
expresses voltage regulation.
What he means is that when a charge fluctuation occurs...
And she's a know-it-all kid, too. Wow.
She's a girl Kenny.
Sure, I'm gonna love this character.
Plasma? You mean like blood?
You really are an imbecile.
Fuck you, kid. There's also a reporter with them who wants some pictures of Godzilla. Again, just wait until he attacks Tokyo and make sure you take him from a safe distance. You won't have to wait very long, he shows up right away. I mentioned in my Beast from 20,000 Fathoms video that it was one of the primary inspirations for Godzilla, so it's appropriate he shows up to a lighthouse here.
Oh, look at that. Showing that it's a reboot.
I gotta admit, that is a pretty badass introduction. I mentioned that the American version was altered a little bit, and about the tone of the dubbing here.
Ah, that damn teriyaki's cold again.
You clowns don't like it. There's plenty of other places to eat around here, so shut up and get out.
It's definitely one that's got its tongue planted firmly in cheek. I wouldn't exactly call it a gag dub, but it is one that doesn't take itself 100% seriously. It's kind of a middle ground between what New World Pictures originally wanted to do with Godzilla 1985, and what happened after Raymond Burr stepped in and said they had to treat the material with respect. Considering this is a much lighter, more colorful Godzilla flick than 1985 was, I think the goofier approach works a little better here. And once again, I don't think these guys need a bunch of fancy equipment to know Godzilla's arrived. Okay, so they're now probably deaf and are going to be picking glass out of their faces for the next week.
And
just
dead.
kidding, they're fine. Bit of advice though, if you made this to get people to forget about the 1998 Godzilla, you probably shouldn't include a scene where Godzilla corners a car in a tunnel.
That's
I gotta
true.
give this movie props though, we're not even 10 minutes in and already Godzilla's rampaging across Japan.
Very
which
true.
is what G fans were probably asking for at the time. Beats the hell out of him running away from the military like a scared iguana. Remember when I said this movie had a sense of humor?
Yeah, I remember that.
Does that help, Eddie?
And I'm the imbecile?
I I don't know. I think it'd be funnier if you talked about how that's a lot of fish.
Look at all that friggin' fish.
Jeez, these guys are
A lot
like
of fish.
storm chasers, except instead of twisters, they chase walking nuclear bomb metaphors. What are they trying to find out about Godzilla anyway?
It's like he's trying to destroy our energy sources.
Well, that shouldn't be a surprise. In 1985, he used nuclear power like it was Red Bull. While this is going on, another government organization called Crisis Control Intelligence also makes an important discovery.
Excuse me, sir. It's about the meteorite.
Meteorite, huh? Well, it's a Godzilla movie, so I'm sure it's nothing to worry about.
Of
Wait,
course
the
not.
meteor's in the ocean? Damn, too bad I didn't make this video in the summer. Then I could have included a topical Titanic sub-reference. Either way, though, I have a feeling these guys are going to end up vaporized anyway. Regarding the effects here, this movie still mostly uses the tried and true techniques of a guy in a suit stomping on miniature
looks better
models.
than the
The quality of
1998
those
one.
things is generally pretty good. Sure, it's not up to the level of a blockbuster Hollywood movie at the time, but it does show at least a bit of a progression from the previous series of Godzilla films. Speaking of Godzilla, did reporter lady get her pictures?
These negatives are as blank as your mind. Godzilla's radiation fogged the film.
Great, Godzilla destroyed Tokyo and her career. And again, about the dubbing.
Not another joyride with those freaks.
Quit your bitching.
And give me some pictures of Japanese Spider-Man, damn it! Even though the humor's appreciated, some of it is a little broad here.
Down that hallway, take the first left. Right?
The hell?
To the end. Turn right.
I don't remember these scenes.
And if you were wondering if the goofy 80s family movie soundtrack was in the original Japanese version, no, it isn't. Okay, so the plot is reporter lady wants to join the Godzilla Prediction Network to get more pictures, something. Whatever, it's a 90s Godzilla movie. The human story doesn't matter that much. Now, I mentioned that the practical effects are generally pretty well done here, but this was also the first Godzilla movie to really start to incorporate CGI and digital compositing, and it looks... well, just have a look.
Yeah, I remember this. Oh no, actually
That
no, it
wasn't a
looks
clip
bad.
of the Sega Dreamcast tie-in game. That's from the actual movie.
Wow.
You know, guys, from now on, maybe just leave the computer effects for stuff like this. They managed to raise the meteorite from the ocean. Congratulations, you found Gamera's shell. What is this thing, anyway?
It could be a vessel from outer space.
Yeah, but is it made of space titanium? Meanwhile, the Godzilla Prediction Network gets word that
Space
Godzilla's heading
titanium.
towards a nuclear power plant.
Oh, that's just lovely. Another Chernobyl.
Yeah, thank God there'll never be another nuclear disaster we could reference here. By the way, turns out the head of the GPN has a history with the guy who runs the other agency that's interested in Godzilla. What is this guy's name?
Katagiri didn't waste any time.
Katagiri?
Human bad guy, got it. Basically, Prediction Guy wants to study Godzilla while the other guy wants to kill him.
Godzilla needs to be studied. He's a gold mine of knowledge.
And in the meantime, he just levels Tokyo.
You know, I hate to say it, but Evil Government Guy does have a bit of a point there. Hey, dude, I just said you had a point. Don't undercut it with an evil laugh, okay? Even if Katagiri does want to kill Godzilla, I don't think tanks are gonna do the trick. They haven't worked in any of the previous movies. It doesn't matter how many you awkwardly green screen in.
As we know from experience, when Godzilla's attacked, he advances instead of retreats.
Yeah, something tells me that line was a direct shot at the 1998 Godzilla. They've also got a new type of missile that they're gonna use against Godzilla, and they've even got some lines from Patton to back it up.
I guarantee it'll go through Godzilla like
crap through a goose.
Yeah, that's great and all, but I think making a robot copy of Godzilla would be a lot more effective. Or whatever.
I don't know why, I just remember that one line from this movie, like, throughout my life. I was like, okay, let's see this weapon. Okay, can it finally hurt Godzilla? Not likely.
You can save that for one of the later Millennium Godzilla.
What?
A lot more effective. Or whatever, you
Yeah.
can save that for one of the later Millennium Godzilla movies. Or two if you feel like it.
I
Once
mean,
again,
they're
the
both pretty
effects in
good.
this movie are a real mixed bag.
They
Some of the
are.
model work is pretty good,
the
but you
fuck?
also get some really
Yeah.
wonky shots like this one where it's painfully obvious the suit actor is in front of a green screen and it's just been awkwardly pasted into the background. Also, some of these shots of the helicopters look like they're straight out of a Panasonic 3DO game. This is the first Japanese Godzilla movie movie where parts of it feel like I'm watching cinematics from a video game.
Oh,
Also, I gotta
I
talk
think
about
that's
the
why.
Godzilla suit for a little bit here. I know there's G fans that really love Godzilla's look in this movie, but I gotta say, it's not my favorite. To me, the pinnacle of Godzilla's suit design was reached in the Heisei series.
Very true. You know, the only time Godzilla ever looked good in Godzilla 2000, really, is in the video game. And that's just because the fire, it used to glow orange and it was something different. That was it. That was it.
Intimidating and still had that classic Godzilla look. This overly pointy, spiky design seems like it's trying a little too hard to be late 90s extreme to the max.
I like it,
Bart
though.
Simpson Godzilla. Look, he even has frosted purple tips on his spines like he's about to chug some Mountain Dew and listen to No Effects. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's terrible, but I wouldn't rank this as one of my favorite Godzilla designs. I don't know, let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, regarding those new missiles, they're somewhat effective. I mean, they take some chunks out of Godzilla, but wouldn't say they go through him like crap through a goose. Again, you can't go wrong with a robot duplicate of Godzilla. It might not kill him, but he'll bleed really bad. Meanwhile, with a robot duplicate of Godzilla. It might not kill him, but he'll bleed really bad. Meanwhile, the meteor they raised from the ocean suddenly rises up and flies away. I know I was joking earlier, but is this actually Gamera's shell? Turns out this giant flying dinosaur turd has a purpose. It really wants Godzilla's DNA, which leads to some of the less embarrassing CGI of the movie. Damn, screw the new missiles, they should just use that against Godzilla. Oh, and here's another little nitpick I have with this movie. It changed Godzilla's beam to an orangey red. I know this is just a minor detail, but to me, Godzilla's beam is blue. Also, even though I was kidding earlier, I think this meteor really is made out of space titanium.
I'm convinced that this vessel comes from another galaxy.
No
God, it's just too crazy to believe. Right. Like Godzilla's normal.
Okay, fair point.
That is.
You must know. Is it dangerous to mankind?
Look, it's something from outer space in a Godzilla movie, so at the very least it's dangerous to Japan. Anyway, another PlayStation cutscene explains that it landed on Earth millions of years ago and lay dormant until the submarine's lights hit it, and that it can only function during the daytime, a fact that I'm sure will remain consistent for the rest of the movie. Meanwhile, reporter lady still wants some pictures. Hey, what is her name, anyway?
Hey, Yuki!
Oh, okay, I guess it's Yuki.
Oh, so we're on a first-name basis now, are we?
Okay, well, I can just go back to calling you Reporter Lady if you want. And in case anyone still didn't know this movie's from 1999, look, an iMac. Anyway, Godzilla Prediction Network guy collects some of Godzilla's cells and makes a startling discovery.
The first one shows clear signs of scar damage, but the second one is completely clear.
That's a remarkable healing speed.
So here's an interesting and innovative idea this movie puts forward. It's the first Godzilla flick to offer an explanation for how Godzilla can take so much punishment. In previous movies, Godzilla could shrug off missiles and bombs because, well, he's big, he's tough, so sure, the military can't hurt him. In this movie, it explains that he can be hurt, but he heals very quickly, so instead of Superman, he's more like Wolverine. And they even have a name for this power.
Regenerator G1.
That could also be the name of a future movie in this series.
If Regenerator G1 is
I remember
the
this
Godzilla's
stuff.
healing ability, it could revolutionize modern medicine.
If we could find a way to use it for humans.
Then a regular person could level Tokyo. Meanwhile, reporter lady still wants some pictures. Hey, what is her name, anyway?
Hey, Yuki!
Oh, okay, I guess it's Yuki.
Oh, so we're on a first-name basis now, are we?
Okay, well, I can just go back to calling you Reporter Lady if you want. And in case anyone still didn't know this movie's from 1999, look, an iMac. Anyway, Godzilla Prediction Network guy collects some of Godzilla's cells and makes a startling discovery.
The first one shows clear signs of scar damage, but the second one is completely clear.
That's...
In previous movies, he's tough, so heals very quickly, so instead of
G1.
that
of Godzilla's
Then a regular person could level Tokyo. Oh, right, the meteor. Eventually, the sun hits it, causing someone to violently shake it in Adobe After Effects. It also sheds the last bit of rock covering, and I think I figured it out. This thing came all the way from the planet PlayStation 2. Let's see, Dreamcast, 3DO, PlayStation... If I can figure out a way to fit an Atari Jaguar reference in here, then I'll really have my video game riffs down.
How can it still be alive after so long?
I just can't conceive of any life form that could survive for 60 million years.
I don't know, isn't Godzilla technically a dinosaur? He managed to take a power nap for millions of years until somebody used a nuke as an alarm clock. The spaceship plants itself on top of a skyscraper, which honestly could pass for a Tokyo landmark. They already have a building that looks like a giant foaming glass of beer. This could pass for part of the skyline. After all, it does look pretty cool. And right as I say that, I should mention that this was the first Japanese Godzilla movie to use a fully CGI Godzilla, and... again, just take a look.
No, don't remind me. Oh, no!
Wow, that sure looked good. You know, some people criticize the Godzilla series for being slow to embrace CGI, but if this was the best they could do in 1999, I think they were right to mostly stick with the man-in-a-suit approach. Actually, considering how good the CGI in Godzilla Minus One seems to be, it's pretty amazing how far the series has come since then.
I know.
And again, in case you didn't know what year this movie was made, look, more IMAX, which I think is what they made that CGI Godzilla on. Speaking of computers, the spaceship hacks into the computers of the building it's on. And just how is it doing that?
Try the infrared filter.
Oh shit, the ship's gone full hentai. Better evacuate every schoolgirl in Tokyo.
This could be the end of our civilization.
You really call this civilization? Anything we don't understand, we try to destroy.
Yeah, that's a very touching sentiment, but for real though, you are gonna have to destroy this thing. Anyway, Katagiri decides to blow up the building the spaceship's on with some bombs, but oh no, reporter lady's still inside. They gotta go get her, but how are they gonna get inside the building? Oh. Okay, that was surprisingly easy.
2 people are still inside the tower, sir.
Who gave them access?
The commander kind of glanced away for a second and didn't feel like running after him.
Dumbass!
If it's any consolation, he says he's real sorry. Yuki and the little girl managed to get out, but Shinoda stays behind so he can download what I assume is some type of weird alien porn. Oh well, Katagiri doesn't give a shit and decides to blow up the building anyway. Alright, as much as I made fun of the bad CGI here, the practical effects in this movie are actually pretty cool. Shinoda also manages to make it.
That's why. Because, man, he was really starting to make me feel like, wow, this movie is worse than I thought. But I remember the practical effects, and, you know, I think the last time I saw this, I think I was a little young, or I'll just fast forward through all the scenes without Godzilla. Godzilla 2014 was not the only one, guys.
Get out of there alive, although I'm pretty sure his hands would be shredded hamburger after doing this. Surprisingly though, he's completely okay. He managed to figure out how to use Regenerator G1 on himself. He also figured out what the alien ship is doing.
They want to change our atmosphere to make it more suitable to their living condition. They want to build their own empire on Earth.
Alright, you don't need to be a genius to figure out aliens in a Godzilla movie are gonna be bad. Even the ones who pretend to be friendly still turn out to be evil. The aliens also want Godzilla's DNA so they can use his regenerative power to adapt to Earth. Speaking of which, Godzilla shows up and... man, the green screening in this movie is really obvious. It almost looks like Godzilla set Tokyo as his background on a Zoom meeting. Thank God the model work here is good. I don't know what Mini Mini is, but apparently they have a cute little dinosaur mascot. Okay, time for the final battle, but instead of the over-the-top pro wrestling-inspired fights that characterized the 70s Godzilla films, this one goes a little different.
Oh, Biolante again. Look at that.
Oh shit, this is giving Godzilla some real Biollante.
Yeah!
Wait, this one isn't in continuity with that movie, so probably not actually. Oh well, like the
it could be just like a memory, like, you know, oh, I feel disgusting. and bleedy in my hand for some reason.
Trailer said with that movie, so probably not actually. Oh well, like the trailer said, if you can't stand the heat, run. That was pretty badass, but it can't compare to what Godzilla does next. I don't know why, but I find that part really funny. Also, does anyone else think the ship in this movie looks like the one from Flight of the Navigator? Now at this point, some of you might be thinking, is this just gonna be Godzilla versus a spaceship? Well, not to worry, because this movie does have a kaiju fight. Because once again, Toho made this as a rebuttal to the 1998 Godzilla, which didn't have one, mainly because it was too busy trying to be Jurassic Park instead. The ship takes some of Godzilla's DNA, which results in the creation of...
this weird thing first.
A weird CGI jellyfish thingy. You know what? Maybe they should just go back to having him fight the spaceship. Just kidding, this thing doesn't last long. Instead, it uses Godzilla's DNA to transform into a monster called Orga, although they never actually call it that in the movie. Orga's a decent monster.
Yeah.
He's not particularly memorable, but I appreciate that they tried to go beyond the typical guy in a suit design and made him bulkier with bigger arms.
God, you know, again, my memories are not even from this movie with that. It's with Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee. He's so cool in the game. And, you know, you could just smack the crap out of people, other monsters with your hand. It's kind of funny. Just boink, boink, boink.
That they tried to go beyond the typical guy in a suit design and made him bulkier with bigger arms. And thankfully, the long arms here are more convincing than Kong's were in King Kong vs. Godzilla. The downside to the bulky suit is that he's not particularly mobile, but he does have some other tricks up his sleeve. See, this is what a lot of people think of when they think of Godzilla. Two guys in monster suits duking it out in a model city shooting energy beams at each other. The big downside to this is that we don't see Orga until about an hour and 20 minutes into the movie. The rest of it is mostly Godzilla dealing with a flying metal bicycle seat. And now I guess that's gone. Even though his ship's exploded, Orga still isn't done with Godzilla.
He's trying to become a Godzilla clone.
No, don't do that. Godzilla's already fought enough of those.
So many clones.
And all this seems to have done is given Orga a weird CGI filter. Alright, you know what, Godzilla? Time to take care of this guy once and for all.
Keep that change, you filthy
animal.
Just kidding, Orga's still alive. He's all hopped up on that sweet regenerator G1. Now, I said Orga isn't a very memorable enemy for Godzilla, and that's mostly true. But he does do one thing that's memorable.
Die awesomely. Yeah. The fuck?
Okay, this is pretty weird, but thankfully Godzilla has a foolproof plan of sticking his head directly into Orga's mouth.
He has a plan. He has an actual plan, guys.
Okay, I can't exactly explain why, but this part feels really dirty. For some reason. Weirdly enough, in the manga adaptation of the movie, Orga was so big he almost swallowed Godzilla whole.
Whoa.
What do you know? Turns out Godzilla putting his head in there was a good strategy.
Yes! He had a plan. He had a plan.
Yeah, that's right. Nobody fucks with the king. And so, Tokyo is saved. Kinda.
No,
wait, we can't end the movie just yet. First, we need another awesome moment for the trailer. Godzilla goes up to Katagiri, which leads to one of the best moments in Godzilla movie history. Yeah, that's right up there with Godzilla blasting that World War II vet from Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah.
Right?
That would be a good place to end it, but they gotta leave on some pseudo-philosophical stuff.
We scientists produced this monster, and ever since, we tried to destroy him.
But then why? Why does he keep protecting us?
Perhaps the real Godzilla is in here.
Maybe because
Godzilla is inside each one of us.
Alright, dude, I was kidding. That makes no sense. Also, I don't think he's protecting you. He probably just killed Orga because he wanted to level Tokyo all by himself.
Seriously.
So that's Godzilla 2000, and this was definitely a more authentic Godzilla experience than the 1998 American one.
Also, sorry, before he continues, anybody else weirded out by the fact that not only was he destroying Tokyo after he so-called protected them, they probably were like on fire after he said that. But why were they playing Rodan's theme? The da-na-na-na for Godzilla. That just does not work. Godzilla has a perfectly good theme. It could have been great where he was like dun 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 dun. Fuck Japan.
How does it compare to other movies in the series? To me, this is a textbook example of a mid-level Godzilla.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable, the tone is relatively light without being as goofy and childish as some of the 70s entries, but I wouldn't count it as one of the best Godzilla flicks. Godzilla shows up right away and does what he does best, namely stomp Tokyo, which would have been a nice palate cleanser after the 1998 American one. On the downside, Orga is an okay but pretty unremarkable enemy for Godzilla, and we don't even get to see him until the last 15 minutes of the movie. Not to mention, the early attempts to incorporate CGI here are extremely awkward and dated. I know people like to poke fun at the man in a suit approach, but I'd take that over this any day. Overall, the fact that this isn't reliant on previous continuity, combined with the light but not too goofy tone, makes this a pretty good starter movie for people who are looking to get into Godzilla, but I wouldn't put it up there with the best. Despite being promoted pretty heavily, Godzilla 2000 underperformed at the North American box office, and as a result, a Japanese Godzilla film wouldn't get a theatrical release there again until Shin Godzilla in 2016. Although considering how well Godzilla Minus One did in North America, maybe that means any future Japanese Godzilla flicks will get wide theatrical releases here too.
Let's do it!
So there you go, I did another Godzilla movie, and it's my last video of the year, so I'll see y'all in 2024.
Do more.
Well, that's all for now. Until next...
Yes. Taking back more Godzilla!
You guys saw that, right?
Yes. More Godzilla! Loved it. But, yeah, it's totally freaking awkward. But again, like, just anytime Godzilla is on screen, yeah, the CGI might be bad, but what are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do? It's still a decent movie. And honestly, I have to watch Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla before he does it, because that's like one of the only Godzilla movies I've not seen. I have a weird Godzilla's movies that I've not seen. I think I have never seen Son of Godzilla. I've never seen Destroy All Monsters, but I know what happened, so like, yeah, they basically spoiled it for me. And I've also never seen Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. And I kind of know what happens in it, but maybe. But anyway, let me know what Godzilla movie you think is best. And please, smash that like button if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content. And subscribe if you think I deserve it. And I'll see you all in the next episode.